Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of The Rope Break. I am your host, Jeff Wolf. I'm alongside Eric Vanek. Hopefully you are enjoying this weekend, and you enjoyed Bubba Watson win the Masters.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't watch it personally. I usually do, but I was kind of busy today, but good for him.
Yeah, I was busy working, but I got like a little notification on my phone. I was like, you know what, good for him. I like seeing guys like him actually win the Masters.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
But that'll be as much as sports as we talk about. We're about to talk about professional wrestling. Let's get real, everyone. It's been a big week in professional wrestling. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Maybe not necessarily inside the ring, but a lot of news reports of a lot of different kinds of things have been going on. So we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna start off this show ranting. There's a couple things that I wanted to bring up with you, Eric, today. The first one is Nancy, and I'm not going to say the F word, but if there was ever a time to say the F word, it would be now. Grace. And her crap of a journalist. I don't know if anyone has seen it. I know a lot of people have.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and explain it all?
Okay, so basically this is what happened. It wasn't even long. It was like a 10-minute thing. She brings on Diamond Dallas Page to talk about Ultimate Warrior's passing. And it's basically a complete ambush. DDP did the best he possibly could, and he actually did a really good job. I think he wanted to really just diamond cut her.
That would have been fucking
It would have been amazing. It would have been great.
I would have marked out like a little girl.
Yes, I would have loved it. I'm watching it, I'm like, DDP, just do it. Just do a self high five and just diamond cut her. This is what happens though. She brings him on, and she's just talking about why are professional wrestlers dying so young, and saying that like there's all these reports now coming in, and this was just like 48 hours after his passing, saying that allegations are now coming out that there was a lot of steroid use and a lot of illegal drug use. And that, first of all, to me, pisses me off. And it pisses me off because the media loved this so much, and it's crap that they loved it, but they loved the Chris Benoit situation. They loved it because it brought such a negative aspect to professional wrestling. And they get so excited about that. And she's still holding on to those dreams of like just making professional wrestling look as bad as possibly can, saying that only professional wrestlers can die from steroid use or illegal drugs. But this is really what gets me about the whole thing, is she is showing this list of wrestlers who have passed away, and talking about allegations of the fact that all these people were into steroids or drug use or whatever. And a couple names come across. The big one to me is Owen Hart. And It's like, are you serious? Are you really going to compare Owen Hart's death of a horrible, tragic event at a live event to steroid use or drugs? Get your facts straight, Nancy Grace, because Owen Hart was one of the most purest professional wrestlers there ever has been.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm going to let you talk on this in a minute, too, because if not, I'm just going to go off completely. But there's two other people that really ticked me off about that list. One was Chris Candido, who, yes, he did have his issues. He did. I'm not going to say he didn't. But when you want to bring a list out and say this is what these people had died from, Chris Candido died from a staph infection that wasn't treated right from TNA wrestling. That has nothing to do with steroid use or drugs. And thirdly, they bring up Brian Pillman, who died. He took his own life. And there was multiple people. I know there was I think like a Von Erich or something was on there as well. I know there was a couple people that had taken their own life. And that could maybe be mixed in with that kind of stuff. But it just to me seemed like a really crapshoot of researching something like this. And she really didn't even let DDP talk. She really just wanted to say, and she just kept repeating herself over and over again. Why are these people dying so young, Diamond Dallas Page? Oh, well, it has to do with steroids, right? I mean, those just stay in you, right? So,
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Who is Nancy Grace? I have no clue. I really don't.
She is a reporter for CNN.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've
and
seen her before.
Yeah, you've definitely seen her before. She has like really like 80s style blonde hair. She looks like she needs to get punched right in the face every time.
I know. I just wish just something bad would happen to her. Oh, as my phone goes off.
CM Punk is there. That's
Yeah.
where he's been.
That
through the whole
that would
time.
have been awesome if he would have came onto
the
Nancy Grace set and just GTS'd her right there on live TV.
I would have loved that.
But anyways, it just showed that a lack of preparation and research. If she put Owen Hart on there as a death due to steroids or illegal drug use, how dumb can you be? Obviously, she didn't research it. I'm guessing she didn't research. She probably had some, intern research it at CNN or something. Just complete stupid. It's not like the WWE has made this wellness policy. They've taken it very seriously. Steroids is not. I'm sure there's wrestlers and stuff that still do steroids or HGH or whatever you want to, think of.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as nearly as bad as it was in like the 80s, early 90s and stuff like that. It's just not. The times have changed. It's kind of like, I kind of compare it to how baseball was. Baseball had their steroid era. It was probably the same time as wrestling. Everybody was doing it. Football players, baseball players, wrestlers, you name it. They were probably all doing it because it was the norm. But it's so...
DDP was talking about that too.
Yeah, it's so... That's so, back then. And I guarantee it has something to do with Warrior's death. I wouldn't be surprised because there's no way that dude wasn't on him. I mean, they all were. Hogan was, Warrior was. Those guys were all on roids. There's no doubt in my mind. So, I'm sure that probably had a effect on Warrior's death. Yeah,
I mean, DDP had talked about the fact that Warrior had been doing YouTube videos and was actually pretty clean at the time. And he said that like that stuff stays with you, but it just drove me crazy that Nancy Grace just completely went there. The whole thing, because it was just an ambush, and it was just a way to talk negatively about the WWE. I mean, why can't we ever see? And someone made a mention of this. Why can't we ever see a report about what good like John Cena does?
I don't see that on CNN. Yeah, I don't see that on CNN.
Yeah, no, you're not going to see Nancy Grace report the fact that John Cena is the number one person in the whole entire world that has done the most Make-A-Wish Foundation requests. You're not going to see the positives. You just see the negatives, and it just really gets to me. Being a professional wrestling fan, being one my whole life, I feel like I get defensive of stuff like that. And you know what? They do take steroids. You're right, and it's not good, and it does affect their bodies. But it just drives me up a wall to know that these media people love to just go right there, right like that fast.
Yeah, the guy hadn't even been, passed away for 48 hours, and they're already...
Let him rest in frickin' peace, Nancy Grace.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till she dies.
Maybe she'll die.
Horrible.
Maybe she'll die from roids when I inject them in her ass.
Yes, that's what I want to happen. Once she does pass, I want people to have reports. You know what? I bet it was those steroids.
I hope Michael Cole does it, because that would be great.
That would be great.
Right at WWE.com.
There was actually, this is gonna be the last thing we talk about this, because we have a whole stack of stuff to talk about. But there was actually a petition I saw online where
signed it.
You signed it?
Yep.
Yeah. So where people are trying to actually get her off the air because of that whole thing.
I wish it would go through.
Yeah. It won't. It won't do a darn thing.
Yep.
Now the next thing I wanted to bring to your attention and get your opinion about this, because I just saw this report today and it kind of just made me look like, what? Apparently Vince McMahon is pissed off on how WrestleMania went for The Undertaker. He liked the fact that everyone was shocked that he lost, but he was really pissed off with that the fans didn't give The Undertaker a proper send-off.
they gave him a standing ovation. What more do you want?
My thing with this is that, and I was gonna get the actual quote, and I didn't. But there's a scene in The Dark Knight where the Joker is being interrogated, and then Batman hits him, and he says, "You don't want to do that because it makes the next thing you do they can't feel the next thing you do or whatever to like someone that's being interrogated." And it's kind of like this, because you can't shock a crowd that much. Like, this is absolutely shocking. This is one of the most shocking moments in professional wrestling history in the last 12 years or something. I mean, people are comparing this completely to the screw job. So you can't shock...
or the NWO.
Yeah. So it's like you can't shock a crowd as much as you just did and expect everyone to just forget about the shock factor and just be completely and utterly give him a complete moment. Like, people were shocked the whole match, or like the whole next match. It took people halfway through the main event to even realize, oh, this is the WrestleMania main event now.
Yeah, it's like, who knows if this report is even true, though, too.
That's true. But, I mean, this is just hearsay.
Yeah. I mean, they gave him a standing ovation afterwards. I mean, there's videos of people crying, people walking out of WrestleMania that they paid money for and don't even stay to watch Daniel Bryan win the title. They walk out, they're so pissed off. Yeah. I mean, what more of a reaction do you want? Obviously, they didn't want them to leave, but, I mean, that's how much people enjoyed this streak and loved it. Like, it was a part of WrestleMania. It was the biggest, one of the biggest parts of WrestleMania. And I don't know. I just think that report might be BS, to be honest with you. But
I don't know. It's like, I mean, that's the thing is with the internet nowadays. You really don't know exactly what's true and what's not true. I could definitely see that being true, but I guess we'll really never know. But if it is true, it's like, what do you want, Vince? I mean, you just shocked the crowd as much as you possibly could have, and that was it was shocking. Here's my reaction to the whole thing. As soon as it happened, I had my jaw open, but I had a smile on my face, and it's not necessarily because I wanted the Undertaker's streak to end. It's because I was actually literally excited that I got shocked, because it doesn't happen very often in professional wrestling watching it anymore, and we know
now it's the internet.
Stuff.
Yeah, now it's the internet. Yeah, I was the same way. My mouth dropped. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, I almost did a Miz. Like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And it just, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the most shocking moments. I never saw it coming personally. I thought if anybody was ever going to break the streak, it was going to be John Cena. There was no doubt in my mind, and now that is completely gone. Because if you like I was telling to you, Undertaker's never beat. I mean, he's beat big names at WrestleMania. Obviously, he's beat Shawn Michaels, he's beat Triple H, he's beat Ric Flair. The list goes on and on of guys that Undertaker has pinned at WrestleMania. But he never beat The Rock. He never beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. Some of the other, he's never beat John Cena. I mean, that's arguably, and Hulk Hogan. Those are like maybe the four biggest names in wrestling history right there, but he never beat them at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the streak is awesome and everything about it, but he beat some great people. He never beat the top four in my mind.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I mean, you could come up with a list of some of the top guys, and he really did never beat them. I mean, he did beat guys. I mean, he had multiple wins against Triple H, multiple wins against Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, he beat Triple H 3 times at WrestleMania. I mean, a little overkill.
Yeah.
I mean, he beat Shawn Michaels twice, but the Shawn Michaels matches were classics.
Oh, yeah. Those are some of the best ones ever, especially the first one.
Yeah. But we're going to continue on, and huge news that we haven't even started on yet, and there's been reports that Sting has finally signed with the WWE. So I wanted to get your reaction to that, Jeff.
At first, I was super shocked. I mean, as soon as it happened, I texted you about it. I texted my brother, who's a huge Sting fan. I was seeing it get reported, like from an outside source that isn't like Rob Feinstein or something like that on Facebook, excites me. It makes me believe it's legit. And then I see a report the next day saying that he has the contract, but the WWE hasn't received the contract back from Sting yet. So it's like I mean,
which I don't think is a big deal because
either.
They're not using him anytime, like within the next week or two, and he's probably having his attorneys and stuff look over it, make sure everything's good. That's normal stuff, so I'm not too worried about that.
No.
But I'm just excited that frickin' Sting is in the WWE. I mean,
it's
finally
it's the waiting game now.
Yeah, it's been 13 years. 13 years. And he's finally in the WWE. I mean, 13 years since WCW's ended.
That's crazy. It's been 13 years.
Yes. Since WCW's ended, it's been 13 years, and Sting is finally the last big name to come over that hadn't come over from WCW.
Yeah.
And
that was arguably the biggest name. Like when people wanted certain people over, I mean, it's Sting.
I just want to be 100% sure. I am like 90% sure, but Sting has never been in the WWE, right?
No, he never has.
Okay, that's what
it got rumored so many times, and he had multiple conversations with Vince about it. It's just he would always go on interviews and say that it just wasn't the right time, it wasn't the right feeling. They were too extreme at the time. To not PG enough, but now in the PG era, I mean, they are PG now, so it is the right setting for him to come over.
Yeah, because he's never been a non-PG guy. I think he's definitely been a PG character. I think his entire career for the most part.
Yeah, I mean
he doesn't swear. He might say ass or something, but that's about as far as he would go. He's always been, one of the, kids' favorites. He was, they sell the merchandise, the Sting mask, the Sting shirts. They used to have the big, like, hand foam scorpions and stuff like that. But I think my favorite part of this whole thing is other than a match with the Undertaker, which may or may not happen. That's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this is we are finally going to get, I'm hoping a 4-disc, but probably a 3-disc set of Sting's career.
I'm hoping a 10-disc.
I wish too, but
like that 10-disc Raw anniversary thing. I want that just of Sting. I want his whole career, every single match he's ever had, in like a 10-hour documentary.
Yeah, well, they better buy TNA here quickly if they want to have that happen.
Yeah, which that would be kind of cool if they could buy TNA to put some of his TNA stuff in there as well. But I mean, I really just want to see his. I mean, the WWE's documentaries lately have been like top notch.
Yeah. And I want Sting to have full reign on this thing. I mean, not full reign, but you know what I mean. Just
say anything to say.
Say it. You talk about your career, from your days with starting out with Warrior to your WCW days, and now into the WWE. And I mean, he's had so many classic matches.
Yeah,
he's been in so many
people.
Yeah. He's been in so many classic feuds, and he's just been a part of so many things, like the build-up between him and Hulk Hogan and the NWO when he came back. Like, it was just legendary. It was amazing of how he would sit in the rafters every night.
Yeah, there's so many questions I would just... And that's the thing is even if they did this documentary, they would leave something out. Excuse me, like...
Well,
there's no way to put everything in there of what we want.
Exactly, but you look at it too, like there's going to be such a big void from 2001 until now because he's been in TNA for these many years. What did he sign, like 2003, 4, 5, somewhere in there?
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't get mentioned often. I think on whose documentary? There was someone's documentary where they didn't talk about TNA. They said I was down in Orlando for a while. It may have been some Christian or something, but it was. They don't like to mention TNA at all, which just irritates me. If you're going to say that TNA is not competition, because hands down, right now it's not. But in the past, it was a form of competition.
Well, that's like when we watched the CM Punk DVD, and they brought in. I mean, he did an interview at the Ring of Honor ring.
Yeah, which I love.
In the Ring of Honor building.
Yeah.
And they mentioned Ring of Honor in there and showed around. So it's like. But TNA is going under soon. There's just no doubt about it. Maybe soon. Who knows? Because look at all that footage they can get. They can get Christian stuff.
Yeah.
They can get Sting stuff, Hogan stuff. I mean, just so many different guys. So
I just hope James Storm got guaranteed money this week when he signed his new deal with them.
Yeah, that's another topic for later.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, they signed him for a big deal. I just hope it's guaranteed.
Well,
and if it is, good for James Storm, because that ship is sinking, buddy.
Well, I might as well get into one of my other topics while we're on it, but, there's reports, of just TNA guys not getting their contracts renewed, or when they go to renegotiate, the TNA is offering them less money than what they're making now.
Yeah.
Like, I just read today that Chris Sabin is done with TNA.
Yeah.
His contract ran out, so Sabin is going to be on the Indies again. I'm sure him and Alex Shelley will be hooking up.
I have some breaking news, if this is legit. I have just been given a text from an outside source that says the TLC pay-per-view is going to be at Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, really?
Really.
That would be interesting.
That would be really awesome. That would be extremely awesome. Ohio hasn't gotten one for a long time.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, back on the topic, because I did see that Chris Sabin didn't sign because they offered him like AJ Styles low money.
And Chris Daniels and Kazarian are the next two rumored to be going here soon. So my question to you with this is, which TNA guy currently going to be gone here soon would you most like to see in the WWE that you think would have the best success in the WWE?
Personal would be either Samoa Joe or James Storm. Obviously, with James Storm signing, that's not happening. So personal would be Samoa Joe. Who I actually think would be best, though, would be Bobby Roode. I think he's just got that, I mean, not to say it, but he does have that it factor. He really does. I mean, except for the fact that he's not a huge guy, but he's not Daniel Bryan either. And he's kind of like a middle-of-the-road kind of guy.
He's kind of like Orton size a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, Orton's still bigger, but yeah.
I think Orton's a little taller, but
yeah. But I just think his charisma, his work ethic, his look. I think he would be able to succeed in WWE. It just depends on the actual storyline, or the way they bring him in. Because I mean, what are they? I mean, you got to do something with him, and you can't just be like, "Oh, I'm Bobby Roode." That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously they're not going to bring up his TNA stuff.
Yeah, and personally, I would love to see AJ Styles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still holding on to that dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very possible, but I think me and you have talked about in the past, though, like we've heard rumors of if they ever sign anyone like that, don't matter who you are, if you're Samoa Joe, if you're AJ Styles.
Yeah, you're
going down
right up.
You're going down to NXT to start,
which
I think is complete bullcrap, because as much as they don't want to talk about TNA, it's not like AJ Styles doesn't have national exposure and people don't know who he is.
Yeah.
If you're even a casual wrestling fan knows who AJ Styles is.
Yeah.
So I think that's just complete BS if AJ Styles would get sent down to NXT to start his career. But I would personally love to see him, because he would just be amazing. And then the other guy, personally, is Austin Aries, but I think they would totally waste Austin Aries.
Yeah, I mean, he's such an amazing
He would be another Dolph Ziggler, in my eyes. Like, they would just.
But even worse because of the size.
Well, him and Dolph are about the same size.
Are they really?
Think about it.
Like height-wise, you think they're the same height?
Yeah, I would say so. Dolph's not a big guy.
I don't know. Maybe I just imagine Austin being smaller than he really is.
Yeah, I mean, they're below 5 foot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're not
or maybe I'm thinking Dolph is taller than he really is too. Probably a mixture of both.
Yeah, I mean, there really are two of the. I mean, oh my goodness, could you imagine? You give those two guys 25, 30 minutes at WrestleMania, Austin Aries and Dolph Ziggler. Oh my God!
Oh gosh, that gets me excited.
I mean, that's not even mentioned. You know, me and you. I told you my pipe dream main event has always been Punk versus Daniel Bryan versus Austin Aries at WrestleMania.
Jeez.
So
give them 45 minutes.
Yeah, but okay. What's your next topic you got for me?
Well, the last thing I wanted to bring to the table today, it was kind of I like to just say something or bring up something that was kind of like years ago. I was watching the WWE Network the other day, and I was watching a Legends Roundtable that had Kevin Nash on there, and they were talking about the NWO. And near the end, Kevin Nash.
You finally watched that one?
I finally did, and I really liked it. It was really good.
Yep.
J.J. Dillon was a little bitter about the whole thing, but it was a good one. And Kevin Nash was brutally honest about stuff, which I loved. Like, it wasn't just him trying to protect himself, and he actually discussed him being the one taking Goldberg's streak and why they did it. And he kind of just said, like, hey, it's not like I needed the belt because I lost the belt a week later, which was completely true. But one thing he talks about at the end is he kind of wishes that he was able to go back and not sign up with WCW at the time. And he wonders where his career would have been if he would have stayed in the WWE. So my question to you is, what do you think would have changed if maybe Nash and Hall didn't decide to make that jump as of the outsiders to WCW? What kind of effect would that have done? Not necessarily with WCW, because that's a whole other conversation, and that would be bad, I think. But
that's just saying, WCW would never have the success it did.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
And actually, did you watch that
I haven't watched it since I bought the NWO Blu-ray when that came out, 2-3 years ago.
Okay, because they brought up the fact that if it wasn't Hogan, they were going to get Sting to do it.
That's another interesting one.
Yeah.
But I think Hogan was perfect for that time because
he was.
People were booing him a little bit at that time, and they were kind of getting tired and old of it, kind of like he was John Cena. But WCW had the balls to go ahead and say, okay, this is what you guys want. You're gonna boo your hero, your icon. Here you go. We're gonna turn him heel on you and shock the world, and that's what they did. But if Nash in the WWE, obviously he would have stayed as Diesel.
Yeah. Which he was up and down of being hot. I mean, he had been given the world title. He had been doing some stuff with like Bret Hart.
Yeah, he would
fit.
Kevin Nash would fit perfectly in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And obviously he could have had feuds with the Undertaker. Two big men. It's really hard to say. Like, I don't think he would have the same success as he did in WCW, because he's going up against Stone Cold, The Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H. He's going up against all them guys. In WCW, it was really Hogan, Nash, Sting, and then Goldberg, and then that was about it. So in WCW, he was one of the main guys, and obviously he got booking privileges at one point, or had creative control, whatever you want to call it.
He did.
So he could kind of book his own stuff. So there's no way in hell he would have ever gotten that in WWE.
No, he was obviously one of the boys in WWE with Shawn and everything, so he would have had success. But there's success of just being one of the guys, and then there's WCW success where he was one of the absolute very focal points of the whole company. And
to bring up one more thing from that DVD, I remember how he said the death of the NWO was the night they did the NWO sold out pay-per-view, where they did a strictly NWO pay-per-view.
Yeah.
and themed it. He was like, that right there was the death of the NWO.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like 98 was huge for WCW and the NWO, but if you look earlier, that's where NWO really had that kind of aggressive, separate kind of company kind of feel to it. Like they were just riding the gravy train completely in '98 as much as they finally could, and they still even did stuff in '99 and 2000, but it was just like an absolute joke. Like when you had like the silver NWO,
Well, it's
Jeff Jarrett.
They put all of their faith in Vince Russo, and granted, I give Vince Russo credit on stuff he's done and stuff he's messed up on as well, but you know, I really think Vince Russo just really ruined it, and then he also did some good stuff as well. So it's kind of hard to balance, but I think Russo really kind of
it was a mess, basically.
Yeah, I kind of think he put the nail in the coffin there to end WCW because they really started to go downhill. You know, they did a lot of personal attacks against WWE, like with the Oklahoma character, you know, taking shots at Jim Ross and his health. I mean,
I
always feel bad for Jim Ross because even WWE does it. Like they just take shots at that guy.
Yeah, and he's gotten a lot of crap his whole life.
Yeah, and I don't get where it's warranted. I mean, the guy has always been nice. He doesn't really take shots at too many people unless they deserve it.
Yeah.
So I never really got that, but that's kind of off topic.
That's what we do here.
But the last thing I wanted to talk about before we end this, it's a topic me and you have talked about a lot in the past, but WWE wastes a lot of guys, a lot of talent.
What?
I can name you 5, 6, 10 guys off the top of my head. You know, there's Damien Sandow, there's Dolph Ziggler, there's The Miz, there's Wade Barrett, Zack Ryder, Tyson Kidd, Justin Gabriel. There's a whole boatload more of people that have just been wasted. And I just wanted to see who you thought is the guy that you think has the most potential to be a WWE World Heavyweight Champion that WWE is just dropping the ball on completely, and why do you think that is?
Well, see, if we had this discussion a week ago, it would make my point more legit. But my number one guy is Wade Barrett, because Wade Barrett oozes with charisma. He is, he's got the height that they want. He's got the skill. He can work with anyone. They used him a little bit now, so I don't know if they're if
he wrestled again on SmackDown.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's really fair to say they're dropping the ball with him. It's just they've had the ball in their hands, and
well,
then
they've rebranded him twice, 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they've had it in their hands, and it just falls like countless of times with Wade Barrett. And they don't really give any of his gimmicks that much of a chance, and he's had some injuries. There was a time where he was supposed to win Money in the Bank like 2 years ago or something like that. But Wade Barrett to me is a guy that I can see the championship around his waist already. Like he could just do it. Now there's people like Dolph Ziggler who I absolutely love and I have loved for a long time. And I can't really understand why or explain why they don't do stuff with him. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind with him is he's been given that Triple H kind of slap on the wrist, where for a couple years of making a mistake, and with him it's that interview that he talked poorly about, like John Cena and Randy Orton. I think it's their way of giving him a slap on the wrist, saying, "Hey, you want to go on to an interview and you want to talk crap about it? Then you're gonna."
But why is it a 3 or 4 year slap on the wrist?
I don't know. That's why I can't explain it. That's the only thing though that I can think of why they would do that to a guy like Dolph.
The guy wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. He then goes on to the next month or a couple months later at TLC and defeats John Cena for the said Money in the Bank briefcase. Retains it. He goes on. He carries it all the way through. WrestleMania 29 happens. Everyone wants him to cash in. He doesn't. Next night on Raw, Alberto Del Rio, who was the World Heavyweight Champion at the time, wrestles, and he had a knee injury or an ankle injury. I think it was a knee. And he was milking it pretty hard, and whoever he faced that night really took it to his knee, and he was down and out. And that's when Dolph Ziggler came out. The crowd went absolutely nuts. One of the best moments in Raw history for me. And he cashes it in and wins the World Heavyweight title. 2 or 3 weeks later, he's on SmackDown in a triple threat match against Del Rio, Jack Swagger, and himself, or something along those lines, or it was a tag match. And he gets kicked in the head by Jack Swagger and suffers a concussion that keeps him out like 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
And he drops the title to Del Rio. He gets kicked in the head pretty freaking good, because he, I don't know about you, but every time I watch him take a kick to the head or something like that, he sells it like his head just went into the 10th row.
Yeah, he really does.
He sells it so good, and they're legit shots too. These guys just kick him so freaking hard in the face.
Especially Del Rio. Del Rio is a hard kicker.
Yeah, he reminds me of, I know Tajiri didn't really do kicks to the, super kicks or anything, but, just straight up kicks. Tajiri was, he kicked you in the head, the abs, the legs. Tajiri was crazy with his kicks.
He could be great.
But Dolph Ziggler then gets the concussion and drops the title. And it's like he got punished for that because he got injured. And the same happens.
It hasn't been the same since then.
And the same happens to Christian. The same happens to Rey Mysterio. Obviously Christian and Rey Mysterio are different because they're always injured.
Yeah.
But it's like
they have that Kevin Nash disease.
You got a concussion. That's your fault. And we're going to punish you for it. How is that Dolph Ziggler's fault because Jack Swagger kicked him in the head?
Yeah.
It's just WWE's philosophy on that of okay, you got hurt, you're no good to us. We're moving on without you, and you're getting punished for it.
And people have brought that up. Old timers have brought that up, where as you're only good for the WWE at that moment. I think it was Bret Hart, and obviously Bret Hart is bitter on certain things with the WWE and how he was treated. But it's kind of true. It's like you're all a piece on a chessboard for the WWE, and as long as you're in play and you're working right, then they love you. But you get knocked over, and they don't really care at that point.
Yeah, and obviously my answer to this question is Dolph Ziggler, since I've been talking about it.
Yeah,
but he has everything. The only thing he doesn't have is a 6'6", 250-pound body.
Yeah,
that's the only thing he doesn't have. But he has some of the best wrestling skills I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, he can work with anyone, and that charisma is.
Oh, his charisma is right now in WWE it's top 5. He gives great interviews. He has the look. He's got
he is the it factor in that sense, because you're right. He has the look. He has that Shawn Michaels dreamy kind of.
Yes, that's exactly who he kind of reminds me of. Is Shawn Michaels, when Shawn Michaels, broke up from the Rockers, and it was, he has everything. I can see Dolph Ziggler being the next Mr. WrestleMania. He's that good.
Yeah.
Given the time, if you had him versus CM Punk, you had him versus Daniel Bryan, Dolph versus even a Rey Mysterio, just someone like that, they would put on just amazing matches. So it's just interesting to think of why they do the things that they do.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, really, what's the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I really wish I could listen to these creative meetings. Like if they
I'd love it. Oh my gosh!
If they would just record podcasts of
like someone just like presses record and you get to listen to one. Like I'd love to because the thing with Dolph it just boggles your mind. It's like if you're looking for superstars, you have one, and you have one that the fans have been behind for years. Yeah. He's got the look. He's got the mentality. He's got the work ethic. He's got the charisma. I mean, yeah, he's not huge, but he's not super small either. I mean,
yeah. There's so many other guys we can talk about. Cody Rhodes is another one.
Well, Cody Rhodes, I think, because I was actually watching SummerSlam with him versus Damian last night, and I was actually thinking about this because Cody, he still isn't at that point where you can say that they've screwed up on him because they keep doing things in the right direction with him more and more. They did storyline with him and his family versus the Authority. I like the fact actually that he didn't win that Money in the Bank and Damian won. Now I will say this: if he doesn't win Money in the Bank this year, I think it is a mistake.
Yeah, it's a big deal. That's a big name in wrestling, the Rhodes name.
Yeah.
Him versus... I would love to see a feud with him and Orton.
I would.
That would be great. That would be an awesome feud. I think those two would put on some really good matches.
Yeah, Cody, we both love Cody. Cody's the kind of guy that, to us, is one of the most gifted in the ring. And the thing is with him about being in the ring is he's progressed more and more as the years go on. Someone like Ted DiBiase, which we both loved. He didn't really progress. He just stayed at the same spot. He had his move set, and he didn't really ever add on to it. He was just content with it, and maybe that has to do with the fact that he was a little laid back, being a DiBiase or something like that. I don't know. We both...
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know where DiBiase went wrong. I think he got injured, and then he got healthy, and it was like, okay, what do we do with this guy? And they just never used him.
Yeah.
So, I really enjoyed when him and Maurice were together.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a really good pairing.
Yeah, and it just...
it's obviously, and then we're getting off topic once again, but it's obviously easy to put the $1 million title around DiBiase's shoulder, and then let him go with that storyline. But it worked for him. And then if you have that kind of gimmick where you're just kind of rehashing from the original $1 Million Man, then you put on a very attractive woman, and you guys talk about the finer things in life and everything like that, and it's cool and it works. So I don't know really what happened with him. he obviously got injured. He wanted to be with his family, but at the same time, things just weren't working. He wasn't getting over. He wasn't getting over. Period. We love him. There's certain people that do love him. What was it, the DiBiase posse?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got over to a certain degree, but not over in the sense where it makes people, top people in the back, really take a step back and think, well, maybe we got something here. He was just middle of the road kind of over kind of guy, and nothing just ever transpired with him, and it's really unfortunate because I think he did have charisma. He had that legacy name. Things could have been done with him. It's unfortunate that he got let go. Hopefully they bring him back.
I think he struggled a little bit on the mic. I don't think he was as good as some other guys. His wrestling skills, they're not Cody Rhodes good, but they were above average, I'd say.
Yeah. They were he worked a
he could get by. Yeah, he could get by on them.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to seen him and Paul Heyman together. I think that would have been a great
he would be
pair.
A great Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah. But speaking of Paul Heyman, guys, Cesaro should be pretty freaking good with him.
Yeah, because we didn't talk too much about it. Yeah, Cesaro. Well,
we talked about it in the
pair.
last one, but yeah. I think that's going to be a good pair. That's probably a good spot to end the show on.
Yeah, with that, we're going to end the show. Awesome show again. I really like this format that we're doing. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. If so, please let us know. If you have any topics you want us to discuss, give it to us. We basically just bring up some random stuff that maybe we haven't really talked to each other about a lot, and just kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. So, yeah, definitely hit us up on at the Rope Break on Twitter and on YouTube, where you are at this point listening to this podcast.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.